Cool.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, good morning. Hardcore.
Thanks for coming. We didn't expect anyone. In the Seychelles with Bernard, the owner.
Was Bernard?
One of them.
Founders here. And Stephen, the master blender.
And we really are here in the Seychelles, and it's safe to say it is hot and nice. It's really nice.
It's been an incredible few days. We arrived on Sunday. It's now Thursday, I think.
No idea.
Just glorious. And we've really seen the whole of the island. I think a lot of people come to Seychelles and stay in their kind of six-star, five-star hotels and sit on the beach having cocktails. Great, but it's really wonderful to go around the island and see what island life is like. And everyone seems to drink Takamaka. That seems to be the one constant in the whole island.
The national drink.
It is a national drink.
It has been extraordinary just how much of it is available to us. In our house, which we can show you later. It's there's bottles of it for us, and you've been very generous. So thank you very much for having us. This island is stunning, but this rum really is good as well. So what we're going to get to enjoy today is just some of the rums. We'll try and talk about the others while we're on the tasting as well. But they are extraordinary rums, and we've been blown away by the complexity of the distillation processes here, the maturation processes. It's relatively young in comparison to some of the big rum brands, but they're already doing things that have blown us away. It's not because they invited us out here and put us up, but I do really. Okay, so Bernard, we'll start off just with a little brief history of the distillery. Why are we here? Let's start right from the beginning. What's happened? How did this happen?
About 25 years ago, I'll talk to the camera so you guys can see. About 25 years ago, so our family's been here since the 1700s. We were one of the first 10 families to sort of come onto the island. And we must remember there was nobody here at the time. So it was really virgin lands, and everyone sort of took their little tract. And I grew up in South Africa. I was schooled there and grew up there. And I came back to spend a couple of months with my grandmother. In fact, at the house these boys are staying in. And being 20 years old, obviously I enjoyed a little tipple now and then, and came back home to South Africa and said to my dad, "We're going to do a rum distillery." And literally that was how the idea was born. And it was 2 years of sort of we fashioned the still from an old copper geyser up in the roof. And this was in 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. And we spent about a year and a half, 2 years mucking about. We bought baker's yeast from the shop down the road. We were playing around with different fermentable sugars. And suffice to say, it was a lot of trial and error in that first 18 months. But we had loads of fun. And, eventually we got a product that or a process that I wouldn't say was scalable, but we managed to set the whole business up for $4,000, as well as a bridging loan from my grandmother. And, so it was me, my father, my brother, and my aunt, Jacqueline. And this is how it started. So we got a small little building in the industrial estate. And our first couple of years, we were using refined white sugar. Can you believe it?
Wow.
As a fermentable sugar, because this was all that was available. We're not a commercial sugarcane producing island. And so really, really humble beginnings. I mean, our first filling line was an aquarium pump into a bottle. It could take about 40 seconds to fill a bottle, but we were doing about 30 bottles a day in those days, so it was, yeah. So,
I mean, when you came here and thought about doing this, why there was nothing else like it here, so it felt like it needed to be here.
We wanted to produce a good rum in a glass bottle, and obviously we wanted to live our best lives. We moved back to the island. surf, walk around barefoot, grow our hair long, not work too hard. And that was the sort of ultimate desire, so to speak, of what we really wanted to do.
Yeah. And now
We still do that.
yeah. I mean, it looks like they're working a lot. Generally,
65 global markets now, and we produce about 100,000 9 liter cases across these markets.
That's a lot. That's a hell of a scaling up. But your grandfather, he distilled rum d'oranger?
Orange,
Orange, is that how you say it?
yeah, for orange, they basically took really shitty rum and infused it with spices like cinnamon and dried fruits, and basically let it sit and macerate. But I think this was just an excuse for him to get pissed in the morning and taste rum without my grandmother giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
What are you doing yourself? No, I'm testing. I'm seeing how it's going.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's just happened overnight, but when you go back to that context, 2000, 2001,
so you talk about life as like art, but it must have been warming. So it must have been a lot less to bring it where it is now. And
why do you feel it's changed over the last 5 years? What's happened?
I think we're only as good as the people we surround ourselves with, in all honesty. So, we've got people like Stephen, we've got people like Richard Cohen, we've got a fantastic team in the bottling line, we've got Nathan, we've got our production guys. We've really surrounded ourselves with a much better team since COVID. And I think we've let people sort of run as well. And it's really been a fundamental shift. And then, of course, the rebranding as well. We rebranded with 2020. Somewhere around there. And this made a massive change for us. And then as well, we listed on the smallest stock exchange in the world. We did a private listing to about 50 friends and family, and we raised some capital to be able to really get some good people, good brand agencies, good people, and more time on the road, pounding the pavements, and that's really been the fundamental shift.
Let's go for the run then. How far are we? We're only 10 minutes in, so let's another run.
which one are we going to go for first?
Fantastic. Okay, so let's start with the cocoa rum. Okay, so
If we taste it and talk about it, you can start with. We can also talk about how
You went from refined sugar to molasses next. But obviously, the big thing we're learning about while we've been here is the sugar cane, which we can talk about as well. But when you started, did you have to quickly move from that refined white sugar to molasses, and how did that come about?
So, like a lot of distilleries, we've always continued to distill, but there was a period, I'd say, between sort of 2005 and 2015, when we were seeing quite a lot of growth in the domestic markets, and we had to shore up some of our production. Like most distilleries do in the world, we had to bring in some bulk spirit, and then obviously combined it with our own. Now we're a lot more self-sufficient, which is fantastic, but we still use a Bayesian 4-square 8-year-old as a blend component, which when you taste our third rum, so we blend in some of those sort of anywhere from 10 to 25%, depending on the product, while our own age stock sort of gets to the level where we can really be 100% self-sufficient.
Full square is from Barbados, and it's an 8-year-old. Very well, man.
Very good.
And then cocoa rum, along with white rum and our dark spiced, were the first 3 products that we produced going back 23 years.
Okay, so tell us about this rum then, Stephen. So what have we got in the glass?
okay, so with the coconut rum liqueur, we obviously at 25%, and it's as coconut as you can get. Very nutty and coconut. All the way, basically. So it's one of those rums that can best be enjoyed just on the rocks, or you can mix it in a cocktail. The applications, sky's the limit, basically. But we really wanted to create a rum from our column based molasses,
Right.
where we would just bring in some of those tropical flavors within that.
So is this similar to what the white rum would be?
In a sense, yes.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
you've got the white rum, the starting base.
And the following day. To differentiate this from the white rum, here we will leave out the pot molasses distillate, and we're just going to take the column distillate,
Right.
and we're just going to bring it all the way down to 25%.
So I had this last night. Full disclosure, one of the first drinks that I enjoyed as a
Young man.
was Malibu and Coke. I remember on a skiing holiday thinking this is the best drink of all. So I'm ashamed to say that last night
We had four. Yeah, that's still saying. There's someone on the chat. Someone, yeah.
richer experience than obviously something that has been corrupted over time. Well, sorry, not corrupted, changed. I'll tell you,
Cocoa and Coke.
really good. So my easy drinking is got the sweetness, but it is good. I mean, obviously you haven't put whole coconuts into this. That would not be easily done. But there is a real flavour to it.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons you won't have put whole coconuts in it. We went around the island yesterday, and I mean, there's coconuts everywhere. I mean, obviously, and we had to bang the coconut open on a rock, get the coconut out. In England, we've got the Bounty Bar adverts where the guys, a big hunky guy, will smash the coconut and it'll open instantly, and he'll just get the coconut out. It took us about 45 minutes. It's really hard, and you don't look cool doing it.
Did you lose yourself out?
Yeah. Well, you know, yeah. The camera crew that were here were just laughing at me, and then you cut yourself doing it.
I was a brave soldier. I had quite a nasty.
Anyway,
It's gone.
but someone just said it does taste a bit like a liquidized Bounty Bar.
Yeah.
I would take as a huge compliment because
Look, but, I mean, we're going to get into the detail of some of the techniques we're using and the terroir and how important sugar cane is in the islands and all of that side of the rums that you're making now. But it's quite important to have something like that, like a spiced rum or a coke rum in the portfolio, isn't it? Because I think that's showing huge versatility, first of all, in terms of what you can actually create. But also, that does connect with people.
Mine is fun, especially fun.
And there's a time and place for every sort of rum, you know. Like Tom said yesterday, he was drinking cocoa and Coke, you know, or pina colada, or you know, something so simple. So there's a time and place. And again, because when we launched, we had no aged stocks. We had to launch with a range of unaged products that we would then macerate or spice up. And you know, here in Seychelles, there's a time and place for drinking a rum. Sometimes you're at the beach at 11 a.m. You open the boot of your car, you put on some Bob Marley, you put your feet in the sand, and you pour a cocoa rum and some fresh passion fruit juice that your wife made in the morning. Other times, you know, you're at home in the evening with a nice cigar and some friends, and you're drinking one of our aged expressions. So rum is really fun, and it's so versatile, and we can't take ourselves too seriously, at least in our opinion. And you know, there's a rum for every occasion. So we're quite proud of the versatility and diversification of our range.
So this is the next one now, which is extra long.
Yeah. First rum I think we drank here with you. Maybe you'd had some brilliant bottled cocktails which we enjoyed. But then you came in and you had this soda water, and suddenly we switched to this. It's incredible neat, but it's great. It's a great length of soda water. So tell us about this rum. What's the thinking behind it? What's the strategy? And
How do these come into it? Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, here you go. You well put it. We wanted to create a rum, which you know would work excellent neat, but also can actually qualify as an excellent mixer, long drink. sort of liquid, right? And this is where extra noir came in. Here we look to our molasses base as a rum, but in comparison to what we've just tasted in terms of coconut rum at first, with extra noir, we are not using only just the column, but we use the base of column and pots. Right. Okay, so we're really bringing the pots as a base. What we're then going to do, we're going to look to oak, so be it American oak in this instance. We also use French oak just to add that extra, flavor. Let's just think of vanilla, coffee beans, chocolate, just coming through the whole thing. And I'll add as well, on the extra noir, we have 43% of alcohol, so quite high level of a standard level of ABV. Although the liquid does appear as a darker, older rum, or may taste like honey, this is not one of the liquids that we have actually put through an aging process. So here we really look towards wood fines. I don't know if everybody can see. Maybe you can help to.
So you've got the wood fines there. And that's what kind of oak is that?
So this specifically one here, it's American oak, American white oak, where we're using about 16.5 grams. We're soaking this with our base rum at 65. We're extracting all those lovely flavors that we need, the extent that we need. Furthermore, we're going to augment with French oak, which has undergone a really high toast. So new French oak. Okay.
But you're going to give them a smell there.
Smell that, guys. Yeah.
And basically these three elements, so the base rum, column, pot blend, American oak, French oak, is what we're going to utilize just to build that blend of extra noir.
So now this is where the story starts to get really interesting for us, because I think there are a lot of ways rum is made. There are a lot of people in the rum industry who have very strong opinions about whether things should be regulated and whether things are good rums, bad rums. And that happens across all spirit categories. But if these processes are taken on properly and you use the right technology, and there's no reason why this should provide a rum that's any different to a rum that's been aged maturation over time. Different, but not inferior. So, but I'd say that this technique has been used badly by other producers in the past. But you guys have come up with new ways to influence the spirit with the wood chips, right? And that's been part of the trial and error process here, which is unique to you as well.
Very much so. I mean, when we started back in like 6 years ago, as most things, you do have like tentative recipes, blueprints of what's being done in the market. As you well put it, right? Like there was nothing out there other than this very same approach is being used in the wine industry. But who spoke of it? Nobody. There weren't a blueprint out there. So it took us about a year and a half of just just diving in the dark. Just with that passion of knowing that we understand we can make something beautiful out of this, something consistent that's gonna help us over time just to adopt or embrace that side of innovation that we strongly felt that we needed here in Seychelles at that Takamaka Distillery. And yeah, it was a very long process of trial and error.
And innovation and tradition. So St Andre series, really, it's nothing can replace time in wood. That's the reality of it. But as a distillery, that sort of we were never sort of bound by tradition because we new world it here in Seychelles. We don't have a long tradition of rum distilling, so I think we allowed ourselves a bit more sort of leeway to play and to experiment. And this is where cavitation really came in. And we just have to think of it as a method of infusion, a mechanical method of infusion, to really sum it up in a simple way. And in this particular case, the product we infusing it with happens to be oak. But in some of our other products, we do a botanical rum called Creole, where we use the same process to infuse the flavors of cinnamon and nutmeg and cloves, all bought here locally at the market. So, I believe there's also applications for gin production with cavitation. So again, our geographical isolation, the fact that we really like to be an innovative distillery, means that there's room in our portfolio for exactly what Stephen said, all these cool little products that we play with and come up with something where even surprises us.
It's quite an important point that, you are an island, and in terms of what you have access to and how you had to grow and learn, you are quite isolated. So you didn't really have to try to find the best ways to do those things. So can you call it cavitation? So quickly, what's the actually? What do you think?
So with the at this point today, the wood chips we only soak it within the liquid. So let's say we're producing 1,000 liters of one component required for the extra mile. So we're going to start with our base rum at 65. We're going to take the American fines. We're going to at a rate of 16 grams per liter. We're just going to add it to that 10,000 liters. We're going to leave it to extract for over 7 days at room temperature, no isolation required. At which point we get to the flavor, the aromatic organoleptics that we require to move forward. We're going to filter out all of the wood fines. Okay. Then we're going to pass it through a process which subjects the liquid to cavitation. And what is cavitation? So cavitation is a technology that's been used in many aspects of different industries of the world, right? In engines. When we came across it, when I learned it for the first time, it was from the wine industry. One of the persons using the same sort of approach, like using shock waves to extract from oak, and had successfully done it with I think whiskey, something like that. So it was very curious to us, but at the same time, we were at the point where we were mainly aging in American first field bourbon, for example. There are so many other oak species out there.
Yeah.
So many variations from different. So a way to just try and find out what flavors working with those different wood chips actually brings to the table. That's what spiked the interest to actually go for that cavitation.
It's cheating time and so much.
Like sometimes when I'm doing blends, I like to just take one glass, pour into the other, pour into the other, and oftentimes just somebody will look at me, what are you doing? I call it, this is my dirty mix. I need to figure out what this does before I can. Right?
Yeah. It's like going on Wikipedia.
Yeah. So
You can start there
So that's what it is. As Ben put it earlier, we just have to have fun while we're doing it, and discovery obviously is the fuel that just keeps getting us to push that boundary. And getting back to cavitation, it's basically what happens when a point of acceleration is placed in liquid. The point of acceleration, let's say, is at 3,000 revolutions per minute, RPM, rotations. So you want to describe that. That liquid, the pressure of the liquid is going to change to below its normal, pressure, and cavitation is triggered. Okay. In that process, heat is produced, energy is produced. A very, very simple example which I like to use. All over the island we have boats with an outboard engine, right? Yeah. You're standing on the boat, got the engine there, the propellers in the water. Obviously, you can take the propellers under the water. If you accelerate the engine, the propeller speeds up. All of a sudden, tons of bubbles, the water goes white, whatever. The boat moves forward. Well, at that point of acceleration is actually where cavitation is happening. Because of that high point of acceleration, that point, tiny bubbles and the change of pressure that the water is subjected to, it triggers tiny bubbles that's formed at the point of acceleration. As it moves away from that point, the bubbles it goes slightly bigger. As it moves further away, the bubble does not explode, but it should implode and releases like a needle-like sort of almost like, yeah, exactly. But that is energy and heat that's being released from that. And that's how your boat moves forward. There may be better way to explain this.
That's a good analogy.
So it kind of makes the liquid more penetrable by flavors. But yeah, makes it penetration easier.
Struggle not enhancers.
So, no, we cannot say that. Okay.
No, I think what's interesting about it is that there'll be very big drinks companies running very big brands that have been running for a very long time, who have an extraordinary amount of budget, and they will look at these new techniques and they'll have an opinion on it which suits their commercial agenda. And to be honest, I probably would have felt that to a degree this was cheating, because I've tasted so many products where they said that it had been rested with ritual and had given nothing. But you found a way to make this give us flavour, and it's all about flavour, really. So it's okay to say it's not the same as resting in a barrel for 8 years, okay, but it doesn't mean that the product at the end of it doesn't have to taste good. And what we're doing is you really have imparted all of that character from the maturation process into that rum in a fraction of the time. And it wouldn't surprise me if your proprietary technique, which is your trademark, is something that surely other brands would want to actually.
You know what? I mean, for us, it's always been about full transparency. You know, we talk about this. We don't hide it in the basement.
Here we go.
We absolutely talk about it in instances when we, you know, in the rare instance on some of our products where we use caramel, we use a little bit of sugar to balance out, you know, we talk about it, and it's the same thing with cavitation. So it's, firstly, I don't think it's anything that we can sort of make proprietary, because it's open technology, everyone can use it. And I must add that we're only scratching the surface of the potential that cavitation can offer, purely because we didn't have enough time. We were in a rush well, not in a rush, but we had to launch some new products. We had to get the flavor profile right. And there's just no time now for it. I wish we could give Stephen a year, take away his passport and lock him in a room and say, but I think you would love some more time to play and to experiment, you know.
But the paper question of cavitation didn't
I guess the cavitation version cruises micro shockwaves that cruises micro mixing.
That's the mad side right there.
Someone's been on Wikipedia.
Correct.
Oh yeah. Oh Paul. Yeah. I think he's spitting.
He knows more than us.
Yeah. Correct, Paul. Glad to be listening.
Yes. We're going to move on to our.
I haven't answered it yet.
I've had two.
You've had two, okay? Okay, all right.
I've been drinking it and saying how great it is. That's as far as my tasting notes go, really, mate.
Guys, it's also worth noting that the style of extra wine is it's quite a woody, and as I'm sure on your palates you'll taste. So this is why it works really well as sort of a rum highball, just with some soda water and ice. It's a nice dry, sort of refreshing drink. And also in a rum Negroni, you know, simply replace the gin with this, and the wood really comes through nicely in a very balanced way. Same with an old fashioned. I'm sure Stephen has some other with the martinis. So.
3650. Could not always say there were a lot of people that anything that maybe they use in a barrel and then they're talking about. I'm not a physicist. We've had about
That's easy. That's very incredible.
But those flavor profiles that we associate with rum are all in there,
Mhm.
and that's a great price point. So,
And yeah, I mean, it's. I know it's different when you're sipping it at a beach house overlooking the Indian Ocean.
I can't see.
Playing with the dog.
So, yeah, yeah.
Peanut
But with 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 some ice and soda water. But that ice and soda, the one that's served long in a highball,
Yeah.
like a rum mizwari, is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one, because in the next one we can talk as well about the cane.
Oh, yes. So the next one is pure tradition. I'll let Stephen explain, but it's 100% tradition and cask age.
So this is the Caz. This is well, it's a last. It's the one you haven't drunk yet.
And before we get onto the technical though, this is something that we've really been blown away by around this island. The challenges you have of getting certain produce and natural resources, and the way the island works together, the community, the fact that everyone is extraordinarily friendly but seems very happy. And the sugarcane story is fascinating because obviously there is some here, but there's a limited amount, and there's a limited amount of flat land. You can't necessarily grow it easily, but also there's not the capacity to grow it. So when you came here, was it always an objective to say sugarcane is going to be a big part of our story?
I wouldn't say from day one, because we had no clue what we were doing. Certainly, as we became more serious about our business and learning as rum makers, and as your palate evolves, and getting guys like Stephen, and because the sugar cane's been grown in Seychelles since the 1700s. But not on a commercial scale. I'm talking tiny tracts of land, 500,000 square meters, and it's always been used for a traditional product called baka. So baka is basically sugarcane juice crushed, and it's fermented, and it's basically consumed as a beer. So it's a tradition that we're very proud of as Seychelles. And when we started, when the need for more sugarcane arose for us, we reached out, we put adverts in the newspaper, we did radio interviews. Please, anybody with a piece of land, grow us some cane, So we've formed sort of a loose cooperative of about 30 different farmers now. And it's worth noting that all of these cane, there's no hybrid cane on this island. These are all heirloom cane varieties. And again, because there's never been the demand to bring in these hybridized cane where you're looking for yield, high bricks content. So our biggest challenge, is finding the land. But the cane rum that we're producing is really exceptional because of our granitic soils. It's the purest expression of sort of Seychelles terroir. And the fact we're a granitic island, we're using heirloom cane varieties. The fields are biodiverse. We're not using any chemicals or any pesticides. So all of these things, sort of compound and add in. And I think you're really able to taste it in the end product, especially the purest expressions of our cane.
Yeah.
Of the sea. So yeah,
So it's down by the lower. Yeah.
Specific to this and cannot be replicated elsewhere, which is a great thing. And the reason I think that we walk around and we're sort of listening to what you're saying and going, oh, you must be telling us the truth.
Everything's done so fast. Because it's got in your products and process. And so then what we want to do is something that is genuinely driven.
This is where this is going to go now. This is
Wish we had more land.
yeah,
Do some more pure cane rum.
yeah. But
It's a work in progress.
yeah,
There's outer islands, there's all sorts of options at our disposal down the line, and we hope
Yeah.
to start exploring them very, very soon.
But it's interesting. When we were doing a tour of the island, you could drive along the road and you'd see this tiny kind of garden-sized pitch of sugarcane being grown, and the Roger drivers going, that goes into the rum, so that all these little small holdings all over the island, kind of like if we talk about like how cognac works, you've got all these kind of small farm holdings that have grown sugarcane and contributing to the rum. And obviously, you you homogenize all the sugarcane and rum, but as you develop, you could say, well, what does the sugarcane in the north of the island, how does that reflect differently from the south of the island? Because it's only 28 kilometers long, isn't it?
But actually, yesterday, the difference in terms of like the impact of rain, so we couldn't walk around the flatlands because they were soaked, but there they were dry. So it's a bit like the agave conversation about the high resting agave taking more sun, they take difference in the lowland. So you've got, I know it's on a smaller scale, and it's a challenge, but there's going to be some amazing things to do.
It's worth noting we won Luxury Spirit of the Year last year with Spirits Business. So we beat some major global brands, and this was for our unaged 100% pure cane rum called Napalas. Thank you. My eyes, I'm seeing some clapping.
Another award. No, but also we just before we came on here, we were down in the barrel store, where Stephen was talking us through the pure sugarcane rums, aging in different barrels from brandy, cognac, and there's different barrel stores all over the distillery site under the house. You basically stuff them anywhere you can, really, from what I can tell. And they're aging at different. Yeah. They're aging at different rates and at different. Obviously, some are more humid than others, and seeing how the whole aging process, because obviously it's massively humid here, and so the aging process is hugely different to say that the equivalent in Scotland. We age quicker. The aging share is moving.
Yeah, so the aging share you were saying is about 8 to 10%.
More and more intense in flavour, and does some wonderful things. And so the sugarcane very much is the sort of, the top end stuff you're doing. But what's really interesting is that we tasted some rums that have been in the barrels for a long time, 6 years, and still starting to go. They're in barrels that are giving them gentle influence over a period of time. But that core rum, that core Seychellois sugarcane character that you taste off the still, is still genuinely prevalent in rum, and it's really like a DNA. So, very exciting.
Yeah. So what is this rum?
It gets us right into that like traditional aging. This is like at the point when we found ourselves with stock of aged nonsense, stock of aged cane. But then we probably got to the point and said, "Oh, yeah, they both taste amazing. I've got the cane; it's in minority as volume, so we're producing both. How about we go ahead and try and come up with a blend of the both categories?"
Yeah.
And this is Takamaka 5%, and we use components of which has been traditionally aged. The base blend itself, we're using about 30% of cane rum. Okay.
Podcast.
Yes, actually, within that 30%, we would have cane rum, which is aged up to 3.5 years in new French oak. Okay, that would make the majority of it. But then 10% of it is cane rum, which is aged within French oak, but export French oak.
Okay. First full ruby port.
Yeah, first full ruby port. So then
Does it go
within
for a finishing, or is it?
No, actually, it's just a straight base, full maturation.
Really?
Yeah. So we're gonna look to the French oak, aged cane rum. We're gonna look to the ruby port, aged cane rum, and within that 30%, we're gonna build a little blend itself. Then we're gonna go to the other side. We're gonna look to our molasses, our first build bourbon aged molasses rum. Within those barrels, we're gonna come up with a blend where we're going to use the first fill bourbon as a component, and we're going to use an 8-year-old bourbon, aged rum, between the 3 years old and the 8, and these two are going to be combined as blend, whilst taking into account the cane side that we do have to blend. And so basically 30% cane, 70% molasses. Within the cane, we've got port influence, which is going to bring those lovely fruity characters, which is going to counteract with the spicy notes that new French oak is going to give to the cane. And then the bourbon comes on the other side. Then we're really looking at vanilla. We're really looking at those lovely Scotch sort of flavors. And gave us killer colors.
And only 3 batch release. So in this iteration, I think it's on the box. This is batch 3. And we only did 3,757 lots for the year. And this is split between domestic, and each market gets allocation. So which we could produce more of this. Yeah, Paul? Yeah, clap.
But also, I think sorry, but all those different influences you're talking about, the vanilla, the sort of spices similar from the French oak, they're all things on the island. We went to a spice garden in the north of the island yesterday, where they got nutmeg, cinnamon, cocoa, cacao, sorry, cacao, tortoises. They're not in it, but this idea that, I mean, everywhere you go on the island, everyone's just eating stuff off trees. It's ridiculous.
Some big farms.
Yeah,
Some big farms. Yeah.
but it's not big kind of tree.
Well, you can and you can't.
Really?
Said to us, "Oh, God, yesterday it's legal until you get caught."
Yeah. Many things. You know, there's and you guys have got to come and visit to really see what we mean, because the sea is abundant with fish. And the island, I mean, you throw seed down and a fruit tree grows, and there's just fruit everywhere, and there's fish in the sea, and it doesn't get too cold, and there's no tigers or snakes.
Nothing.
So it's only us. Be careful.
Yeah. Where is it? The tuna canning we discovered.
Yes.
Yes.
Largest in the southern hemisphere, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
John West.
Can someone wiki that?
Yeah.
John, December.
No.
I'm going to go to the west.
No.
So I just wanted to come back to this rum that we're tasting, the Plaine rum. Just, do you think some of that has happened because of circumstances in terms of what you've had? So you have to innovate with the stocks you have, because even that seems to produce something spectacular. And does that mean that you have to really things that continue to produce?
Well, I must say the only reason it's exceptional is because of the blending and Stephen's palate. No, but it's very true. You know, when he's taking 6, 7 different casts and components, and he's got to try and create a similar blend every single year, and we honour him about cost of sales. You know, there's an inherent conflict there, but it's really Stephen's palate, you know, and we would have all liked to have seen this rum released at 52, 53%, closer to sort of cask strength. But, you know, we hopefully batch 4 is going to be a little bit of a higher ABV, like we've done with Grodkaz.
But certainly,
But down to the confidence we have, in time and getting the killer card essentially. Because we're breaking batch 1, batch 2, batch 3, batch 4. Each time, the aim is just to augment in what do you call that? In goodness. But we just still keeping, respect to the base of the batch number 1. And that's what we try to attain. So, yeah, ABV will be directed, based on it.
Is that or do you feel the most rewarding, or remain down in the barrel review? Clearly,
very excited, very passionate about the aging process as well. Obviously, the two go hand in hand.
Mhm.
With this, but is that, getting your dirty mix out? Is that, I mean, is that? Sounds right. Well,
We've got the dirty blend, okay?
yeah, dirty blend. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Dirty blend. But so would this have come from experimenting, with your dirty blend?
Well,
How did you start doing it? Yeah.
I'm trying a lot of time alone about it.
Yes.
In this room as well, it's actually
Often here are all samples.
all samples of six per
Okay, there's
500 shells,
there's
Jay,
500
down to that size.
Yeah.
look, at the end of the day, blending to me, I still can't freely, explain what it takes at what point, but let's just leave it to the point that I know it's right when I'm there, and that's where my satisfaction will come from. And at that point, I'm going to call the rest. I'm going to call Anna. I'm going to call your brother, Richard. Sorry,
ultimately,
we are going to agree at the best possible liquid that we can produce out of that blend. And over time, as I know my tasting panel, it gets better. It does get easier as I, garner more experience. And yeah, I think we've.
And Master Blender of the Year last year too, eh?
You're a whiskey drinker. Paul's just asked. Would you drink it?
Whiskey drinker. I've, let's just put it this way. I love tasting a wide variety of spirits, tasting. But when it comes to drinking, well, I'll put it this way: I love beer. Right. Yeah, good question, Paul. I do appreciate the single malts, the differentiation you have from one region to the other, from Isla to Highlands and whatnot. So all of these, obviously, knowledge, because at some point I was working within the mixology industry, just coming up with cocktails and distribution as well. So from tequila to mezcal, to gin, the different differentiation between the production approaches, all are things of which I enjoy and I'm passionate about. But yeah, when it's social drinking, it's beer.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to say,
You do need a beer as well as a rum at the same time. And in terms of the future, then, what can we expect? What should we be looking for? What's going to be coming from the distillery that's very exciting you guys?
As sort of our maturation program continues, and we've got some really interesting casks, either full maturations or finishing casks. So I'd say, we just continue along the path that we're going, keep building a good team, looking after everybody within our team, and, keep trying to conquer the world. Be great to see Takamaka in all four corners of the world eventually. And just get liquid on lips, get people enjoying the product, whether it's with a cigar in the evening or whether it's on the beach or with their mates in the forest. Don't get not in a bad way.
you've got two British guys starting, haven't you? Starting working for the company's beach monitor.
Well, it turns out global brand.
Forest.
Yes, yeah.
We're going to be there, yeah. We've got some thoughts of dirty blends. So yeah, we're here to help. No, it's been amazing. We get very excited when we get to go to places because it obviously brings the stories alive. But I don't think either of us anticipated what we found in the Seychelles generally, and obviously there's a great reflection of what's going on. So thank you so much for having us, giving us your run. And we are definitely on board. We're literally that's what you do. Get the best run in the world.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both very much for taking the time out of away from your wife and your kids and your busy schedule to come out here and drink rum with us. But then, what great guys, Ben and Tom. Enjoyed their company.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so much fun, and they came as journalists, they leave as friends with a lot of compromise on all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got on these guys.
Apparently, we're signing over shares.
As soon as we work out how to buy them.
Yeah. I hope that was fun, folks. We're going to round this off because everyone here's actually got to work apart from us. We've got to get in the sea, and we're going to drink some more rum out there to look in the sea. Here you'll see what hardships we go through.
And thanks to you guys for logging in at 11 a.m.
I mean, that is
Thanks, but you need to have a long hard look at yourself because it's a Thursday. It is November. This is not normal. Well done, Commander Soldiers. Look at that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our story.
One more thing. It's just gone live. Some listings in the UK.
White rum, our Wombler, and our dark spice. So sadly, none of the sipping rums, but they've also selected a great 2 SKUs. But the Whiskey Exchange has all our products available on Amazon, and of course we with the great specialty brands.
Yeah. So
go and get the spice is really good as well. It's definitely one of the best spiced rums I've tasted, considering there's some fairly bad stuff in there.
Oh, and quick one before you sign off, the cocoa rum with passion fruit juice is beyond exceptional. Just off the shelf passion fruit juice from the shop.
Yeah.
And if you want, you can throw in a tablespoon of coconut cream and give it a good mix for a nice lazy pina colada.
to celebrate Christmas.
Yes.
Santa Claus once.
Well, does that the mix is ended?
Yeah.
Spoon. Wow. You've been keeping that back. Okay, right. It's been brilliant. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you all again next month. Cheers, folks.
Bye.
Wow.